At the beginning of the drama, we see the male lead Lise. He is going to play badminton with his uncle. Just then, behind his car is the other female lead whose name is Suzie. She was going to the Ocean Hotel. This is the same hotel where Lise is the manager and the chairman is his uncle. When Lise was playing badminton with his uncle was intentionally hurting Lise. Watching this, it seemed as if there was some problem with his leg. Seeing Lise's poor performance, the uncle starts shouting at his caretaker. And then the uncle gets angry at Lise too because he was always either playing games or drinking. On the other side, Suzie sees some customers fighting with the staff at the reception. They had booked their room through the official website, but upon arriving there, some other customer was in that room. To solve this problem, Lin Tai arrives there. The uncle had kept him as Lise's secretary. After this, Suzie goes to the restaurant from where she changes her dress and comes out. And then she starts looking for something in Secretary Lin Tai's room. And then she finds a locker there which had a code on it. But just then, Lin Tai starts coming there. Seeing this, Suzie puts everything back as it was and hides right there. Then Lin Tai comes with an employee, and that online booking problem happened because of him too. Suzie records all his conversations. Lin Tai tells the employee, "Delete the customer record so that I don't get caught." And then he opens that locker and takes out a file from it and leaves from there with it. Seeing this, Suzie also comes out, but Lin Tai was still right there. So Suzie lies and says, "I came here for an interview." Hearing this, Lin Tai tells her, "The boss's office is that way," but Suzie doesn't go there. Seeing this, Lin Tai also goes after her. But Suzie had come with full preparation, meaning she changes her dress and sits with a random man. Because of this, Lin Tai couldn't find her at all. After this, Lin Tai goes to Lise's cabin, where he was playing a game. So Lin Tai gives him some files to study. So Lise talks to him about the housing department, asking, "How did the problem occur in the system?" So Lin Tai says, "I am talking to the chairman about this." Saying this, he leaves. So Lise starts checking those files. In the next scene, Suzie is at home. She had kept an old paper cutting safely in a file in which it was written about her dad. His hand was in the corporate fraud. Because of this, he committed suicide. That is why Suzie considered Lise responsible for all of this, because she fully believed Lise's family has a hand in trapping my family, and I will take revenge on everyone involved in this. But just then, Suzie gets a message from someone. Lise is at the bar right now. So Suzie quickly goes to that bar. Lise was sitting there. So to keep an eye on him, Suzie orders a drink. But as Lise was leaving, a girl comes and hugs Lise, mistaking him for someone else. And she asks, "Where is the restroom?" So Lise tells her, "It is that way." After that girl leaves, just then that girl's husband arrives there. Because he had seen Lise hugging his wife, he pushes Lise. Because of this, Lise goes and crashes into Suzie. So Susie's drink spills. So Lise apologizes to her, "I am sorry." But just then, she starts remembering some memories in which she was with Suzie. And then that man starts misbehaving with Lise in front of Suzie. So Suzie throws paper on him and takes Lise with her. And going into a corner, they both hide, where Lise starts talking to Suzie about old things and says, "How did we see the sunrise on the mountain during camping?" Suzie didn't remember anything, so she says, "I don't have such childish hobbies." And then she asks Lise, "Give me your coat," because due to Lise, drink had spilled on her apron. So Lise takes off his coat and gives it to her. So Suzie takes a dress out of the car. So Lise sees medicine there, but Suzie had to change, so he comes out. And he asks Suzie, "What is that medicine?" So Suzie tells him, "I have a sickness of forgetting." And after changing the dress, she returns the coat to Lisa and asks him, "Come with me." But Lise refuses and gives her his card. Seeing the name of Ocean Hotel on it, Suzie acts surprised and says, "Working here is my dream." Saying this, she leaves. So Lise also comes home and looks at a photo, in which Suzie and Lise were kissing each other, which means before losing Suzie's memory, they liked each other. Now we see a scene from the past, when Lise was climbing a mountain for hiking, and Suzie was also already present on that mountain. When she hears the sound of someone coming, Suzie thinks, "Some animal is coming near me." That is why she takes a stick and starts going in that direction. And as Lisa arrives, both get scared seeing each other. Because of this, Suzie loses her balance and is about to fall with Lise, but Lise saves Suzie somehow. And then both start arguing. Lise says, "This is a hiking track, you shouldn't scare me with a stick like this." So Suzie also shows him the wild animal board. And then as she goes back to her camp, she gets scared because something was moving in her blanket. Seeing this, Lise also comes to help her. When he removes the blanket, there is a small hedgehog in it, which Suzie finds quite cute. That is why she touches it. So blood starts coming from her finger. So Lizzie quickly takes out a bandage and applies it. During this, Suzie keeps looking at him. And then just by talking, Suzie tells him, I just came back from China some time ago. That is why I don't have friends. Hearing this, Lizzie says, if you want, I can stay to give you company. Otherwise, there are wild animals here anyway. Saying this, he starts leaving. But Suzie was alone here, and she was feeling scared too. That is why she stops him with the excuse of clicking photos of shooting stars at night. And in this way, they become friends quickly too. Now in the present scene, Suzie goes home. So now she had 2 cards given by Lizzie. The first card Lizzie had given her inside the camping itself. Now we see a scene from the past. When Suzie was inside the camping just then, she gets someone's call who tells her, your dad is in trouble. Hearing this, Suzie quickly reaches that location. So, in front of her eyes, her dad jumps from the building, and he dies right there. Seeing this, Suzie gets shocked. Just then, her gaze falls on Lizzie, who was on top of that same building. Seeing this, Suzie faints. When she regains consciousness, she was in a hospital, where the doctor was telling someone about her condition. Because of what Suzie saw, she has developed amnesia, due to which she can forget some parts of her life anytime. Just after that day, Suzie had decided to take revenge for her dad's death from Lizzie. Now, in the present scene, Lizzie had that same hedgehog, which he found from Suzie's camp during hiking. That is why he had brought it with him. Now Lizzie was talking to the hedgehog about Suzie, but just then he starts feeling severe pain in his leg. Then we find out Lizzie's leg is artificial. In the next scene, Lin Tai was discussing work with Huo. But just then that video starts playing in front of them, which Suzie had recorded, in which Lin Tai had given orders for fake bookings. Hearing this, Lin Tai also gets quite scared. But seeing all this, Suzie is happy, because everything was happening according to her plan. And then Suzie goes to the HR room for an interview, because by staying close to Lisa, she had to keep an eye on him. And on the other side, Uncle Huo was getting angry at Lin Tai because, due to him, their whole plan got ruined. So Lin Tai says maybe Lizzie has a hand behind all this, because all this happened as soon as he came. But fearing that Huo would catch him, Lin Tai decides to leave from here. So an employee goes to Lizzie and gives him some files so that he can select an assistant for himself. Just then, Lizzie remembers Suzie had said working in this hotel is her dream. After this, Suzie is at home. Just then, she gets a message of job confirmation from Ocean Hotel. Seeing this, she is very happy. She is happy. And the next day, she gets ready and reaches the hotel. So everyone there tells her about Lin Tai. He was fired from here. And then Suzie's in charge takes her to meet Lizzie and tells Lizzie, from now on, Suzie will be your temporary assistant. Saying this, she leaves. So Lizzie had realized Suzie is the one who exposed Lin Tai. That is why he asked Suzie about this. So Suzie says, the hotel is number 1 for me, and I won't let any person do wrong work here. Saying this, she leaves. So Lizzie tells someone on the call, find out about Suzie, and then watching Suzie work, he starts looking at her with love. From her small habits, Lizzie understands she hasn't changed at all. Now we see a scene from the past where, on the mountain, Lizzie secretly clicks Suzie's photo, and then both start making food together, where just by talking, they both find out we were in the same college in Germany, and Lisa was Suzie's senior. Hearing this, Suzie is quite surprised. So Lizzie starts making food with her and says, keeping food in the sunlight for too long will spoil its taste. That is why, to keep its taste right, I will add wine to it. Now in the present scene, remembering these moments, Lisa smiles. Seeing him smile like this, the caretaker Song finds it quite strange. So Lizzie takes him inside, where Song tells him about Suzie. Suzie was hospitalized 1 to 2 years ago, and the reason for it was not found. So Lizzie says, no problem, I will find out. Saying this, he leaves. So Suzie quickly comes to his cabin and starts looking for some kind of contract in his computer, but she finds nothing in it. So she starts checking in the cupboard, in which inside a bag some comic books were kept. Seeing which, Suzie says, how childish is Lizzie? Now after the office, when Suzie is going home just then, she sees a child with his father. Seeing this, Suzie gets emotional because she loved her dad very much. Just then, Suzie gets Lisa's call and he asks Suzie, have dinner with me. When Suzie reaches that restaurant, she asks Lisa, do you come here often? So in reply, Lizzie takes the name of a special dish which he had made during camping with Suzie and tells her, whenever I feel like eating noodles, I come here. So Suzie also orders the same for herself. So Lisa refuses and asks, bring 1 bowl, because during camping too they had shared and eaten. Now we see a scene from the past. When these two were eating together just then, they start fighting with each other to eat with chopsticks, during which the chopstick falls from Susie's hand. So Lisa hits her hand 3 times. So Suzie says, I am not a little kid. So Lisa tells her the meaning of hitting 3 times. The meaning of the first hit is you are an idiot, and the second is stay happy, and the third is someone will hit you like this again. Now, in the present scene, the order comes in one bowl for them. So Suzie also remembers the hiking conversation, and she understands Lisa is trying to bring back my memory, for which she gets ready so that she doesn't get caught. So Lisa tells her, whenever I am with you, I feel like we have met before, and we have eaten food in the same bowl together. But Suzie tries to turn the conversation around, and then they start eating this food. So Lisa drops the chopstick from Suzie's hand and hits her hand twice. Seeing this, Suzie herself says, this happens 3 times, right? And then she quickly turns the conversation around. And then Lisa starts adding vinegar to the dish. So Suzie again says, you should add wine to this. Suzie gets stuck again and thinks, it seems Lizzie will make me remember everything. And to turn the conversation, she orders another dish. Because vinegar was added to this one, and this time Suzie decides to stay quiet. So Lizzie comes close to her and says, the view is not coming good from here, I want to exchange seats. Because on the camping day, Lizzie had sat near Suzie saying exactly this, and Suzie also remembered this thing. Suzie to watch the sunset with him. Just then, Suzie gets a call from Ming Hao, who asks her to have lunch with him tomorrow, but Suzie pretends. This call is very urgent, and making an excuse, she leaves from there. Seeing this, Lisa starts smiling. After this, Suzie goes to meet her friend Ming Hao, who is a very good lawyer. He tells Suzie, if anyone finds out your motive for going to Ocean Hotel, it will be dangerous for you. So Suzie says, I left this country 10 years ago with my mom, and no one knows about me. So Ming Hao says, Uncle's death was just a suicide. So Suzie says, you all didn't see what I saw. On the other side, Lise had made a secret room behind a painting in his house, in which many books were kept, and right in the middle of it, he had set up a small rock climbing practice setup, on which he practices daily. But due to the artificial leg, he cannot do it that well and falls. Now coming out, Song gets his safety belt fixed, and only Song and Lizzie knew about this room. And Lizzie was recovering hiding from Huo. He intentionally acts weak in front of Huo. Just then, Huo arrives there. So Lisa says, you here? So Huo says, it had been many days, so I came to meet you. But he was looking for something in his house. Just then the doorbell rings. So Suzie comes there with some documents which she had to get signed by Lisa. So Huo takes those documents from Suzie and reads them. And then he asks Suzie, on the very first day of work you came so close to him that you even found out his address. So Suzie says, a personal assistant should know everything about her boss. Now seeing Suzie's answer and hard work, Huo gets quite impressed and tells Lisa, you have found a capable candidate for yourself. So Lizzie says, I found a random candidate for myself. And then Huo leaves from there. So Lizzie says, when I called you here, you didn't come. So Suzie says, I came here to get some documents signed. When Lizzie is signing, then Sushi starts looking here and there, asking, where must he have kept the contract documents? And after signing, Lizzie asks her, leave. But Susie makes an excuse of stomachache and goes to the washroom and thinks of an excuse to stay right here. But as she comes out and starts leaving after picking up the documents, so Lizzie asks her, clean my house. Hearing this, Suzie agrees immediately because she got an excuse to stay here, and then she starts working from the kitchen. Watching her work in his house, Lisa feels quite good, and then Suzie asks Lisa, clean the study room. So Lisa asks her, clean my room first, and with this trick he makes Suzie clean every place, due to which Suzie gets quite worried because she was not getting a chance to go to the study room at all. And in the meantime, a decoration piece also breaks by Suzie. So Lizzie asks her, clean that. So Suzie starts cleaning it, but just then, she gets a cut on her hand, because of which both of them start remembering the camping day, how Lizzie had applied a bandage on her. But today, Lizzie throws the bandage towards her and asks her, apply it yourself. Seeing which Suzie gets shocked, and then Lizzie asks her, leave. But Suzie refuses because after doing so much, she didn't want to go empty-handed from here. So, seeing her dedication, Lizzie agrees. So Suzie finally goes to that study room. So, she finds nothing there, but just then, she sees that during camping, Lizzie got that hedgehog. Lizzie brought it with him. And then Suzie looks at the books. So in that, she finds that photo of Suzie in which they both were kissing each other. Just then, from behind, Lisa also comes, from which doubt is rising on Suzie that she has come here with some motive. And Lizzie also understood that she is doing a drama of forgetting old things, because if any human sees a photo like this of themselves, they would definitely ask some question. But Suzie put that photo back after seeing it. And instead of admitting her mistake, Suzie gets angry at Lizzie and says, "Seeing you, I should have understood earlier that you are a liar of an amnesia patient, and everyone has tried to take advantage of this illness of mine. That is why I have stopped questioning people so that I can protect myself." And then Lizzie goes near her. So Suzie says, "You will never understand my pain." And just then tears come in her eyes, seeing which Lizzie apologizes to her. So Suzie leaves from there. In the next scene, Suzie looks at the stars and remembers her camping day. Now we see a scene from the past, where Lizzie tells her, "If you want to skip time, then you should listen to music. And if you want to enjoy time, then you should travel. And if you want to stop time." But saying this, he goes silent. So Suzie asks, what should be done to stop time? So Lizzie asks her the reason for camping alone. So Suzie says, "My dad likes seeing the sunrise from here very much. That is why on this birthday I want to gift him a photo of the sunrise." Hearing this, Lizzie gets emotional because he couldn't do anything like this for his dad. So Suzie gives him courage. Now, in the present scene, listening to music again, she remembers that camping day. Now we see a scene from the past where she was listening to a song with Lizzie. And then she brings tree leaves on which she asks Lizzie to write his name, so that she can keep it in the hollow parts of the tree, and this tree will always remember them. Hearing this, Lizzie finds it quite childish, but then he writes his name himself. So Suzie puts those leaves in a bottle and keeps it in the empty part near the tree. And then coming back near Lizzie, she sits down. So Lizzie asks her, "Do you want to stop time?" Suzie says, "How?" So Lizzie kisses her and clicks a photo of this moment too. Now in the present scene, Suzie gets Ming Hao's call, and he tells her, "Your plan is not your purity, rather you should keep your safety as purity." Now here we find out Ming Hao is Lisa's future brother-in-law, and his sister's condition is not good. In the next scene, Ming Hao goes to a hospital where Suzie's sister was hiding under the bed, and the rest of the nurses were trying to feed her medicine, but she refuses to come out. Just then, Ming Hao comes there and tells the doctor, "I will handle all this." And then after they all leave, he calls Suzie's sister Shen out with love. So seeing him, Shen comes out. But when he asks her, "Eat medicine," Shen refuses. So Ming Hao shows her a cake, which she liked very much. Seeing this, she agrees, and after feeding medicine, Ming Hao feeds her medicine with his own hands. In the next scene, when Suzie goes to the company there, she finds out from a colleague, in this company, along with every contract file copy, the original file is also kept safely. Hearing this, Suzie feels only seniors will have permission to go to that room. Just then, her coworker Gong shows her ID, which meant that Gong can also go into that room. And then Gong takes Sushi with her to that room too, and tells Suzie contract documents of the last 5 years are kept in this room. Telling this, Gong then takes Suzie away from there. After this, Lizzie calls Suzie to him. When Suzie comes there, so Lizzie tells her, "As soon as you come tomorrow morning, you will have to clean my office, and you will have to make coffee for me too." Hearing this, Suzie refuses and says, "This is work outside my job, and if I am in the mood, I might think about it." Hearing this, Lizzie calls HR and says, "Suzie is not capable of becoming my assistant." Hearing this, she doesn't get scared at all and leaves. Just then, Lisa gets Shichu's phone call who was coming to meet him. On the other side, Gong tells Suzie about Shichu. He is the owner of Hang Bang and invests here in Ocean Hotel. But Susie's entire focus is on Gong's ID, because she wanted to go to that room. That is why she intentionally spills tea on Gong's clothes. So Gong goes to wash it, so Suzie takes her ID card. And when Suzie comes to the company, everyone starts welcoming her. So taking advantage of this, Suzie goes into that room. After searching for a while, Suzie finds that contract file. And when she reads the name of the person signing that file, she remains shocked, because she was thinking that Lisa's name would be on it, but Chen Wei-ran's name was on it. Just then, Suzie hears the sound of someone coming. It is Huo's assistant Yi Fei. That is why Suzie quickly hides, but mistakenly a sound is made which Yi Fei hears. That is why she moves the cupboard kept there to the side so that if someone is hiding there, they come out. But no one comes out from there. So Assistant Yi Fei thinks no one is here, that is why she leaves. So Suzie, to save her life, had climbed on top of the cupboard. In the next scene, Yi Fei comes to Huo and tells him Suzie is ill, and also tells, "I just saw Suzie coming out of the record room." This means Yifei had only acted to come out of the room. That is why, when Suzie comes out, Yifei goes back into that room and checks. Then she finds out Suzie has opened that file, which they had contracted with Ji. All this seems quite interesting to Huo. After this, Suzie brings coffee for Shichu and Lise at Gong's request. So seeing her, Lise starts making faces and introduces her to Shichu, calling her his temporary assistant, and then asks Suzie to leave. So Suzie says, "I just came to service my superior." Hearing this, Lisa says, "I am not your superior right now." So Suzie says, "I was talking about Shichu, not you." And then Suzie serves Shichu and leaves from there. So Lisa gets Song's call, who tells him, "I have an important thing to tell you." That is why Lise goes to Song to listen to him. So Song tells him Ming Hao has returned, who is updating his own law firm. Hearing this, Lise is happy because he wanted to meet everyone whose contract was with his dad when he was alive. That is why Lise quickly goes to meet his Ming Hao. And right there, Shichu, who was still waiting for Lise in the office just then, his gaze falls on the bag kept on the table. When he opens that bag, there is a dress in it which Lise had bought for Suzie. But Shichu feels Lise has bought this for me. Just then, she gets Lise's message. "I have urgent work, that is why we will meet next time." And here, Ming Hao comes to Lise. So Lise asks him, "The day my dad died, you were right there, weren't you?" So Ming Hao says, "By the time I reached there, your dad had left, and I was doing a partnership deal with your dad. But when I reached the hospital, it was too late." And right there in the parking song sees Su Shi going to Ming Hao's office. That is why he secretly clicks her photo. And here, as Lise goes, he gives his card to Ming Hao. So Ming Hao alerts Su Shi. Lise is coming from the elevator. So Su Shi quickly starts going via stairs. So Lisa gets suspicious because he had seen someone going from above, but then ignoring it, he leaves. After this, when Suzie starts going home, then she feels like someone is following her. That is why she quickly goes to her home and writes in her diary. The one signing the Zewi contract isn't Lise, but Chen Ran. Just then, the doorbell rings. So Suzie looks from the keyhole. Lise is there. Seeing him, Suzie gets scared and quickly starts hiding all the things so that he cannot know about her background. And then, Suzie opens the door and pretends as if she was listening to music, due to which she couldn't hear the doorbell. Just then, Lisa comes inside her house. So Suzie asks him, "What are you doing here?" So Lisa shows her the dress which he was going to give Suzie today, and then he starts roaming here. So Suzie doesn't let him go into her house. Just then, Lizzie sees a painting, but Suzie doesn't let him touch that either. Just then, Lizzie shows her a dress and wig. So he says, "You wore this and entered the podcast, didn't you?" But Suzie doesn't say anything and says, "I want to rest right now." So Lizzie says, "I just came to apologize to you today, and I had recognized you on the very first day that you are the same one I met during rock climbing. But this time, we met you had lost your memory. That is why I needed to test you whether you are telling the truth or lying." So Suzie says, "We should forget the past and move forward. Otherwise, we will have difficulties." Hearing this, Lisa says, "Now, we should become friends again." Just then, Suzie notices that a paper of his is lying on the sofa. To hide it, she goes and sits there before Lise. Seeing this, Lise gets surprised. So Suzie says, "Hey, you only said to become friends, right? That is why I sat with you." So Lise sits a little far from her and starts asking about the past. So Suzie says, "I don't want to remember all those things." Saying this, she goes to make coffee. Just then, Lizzie's gaze falls on that paper cutting on which there was news about Suzie's dad's suicide. But Lizzie doesn't say anything to her and comes back to his place and sits down. In the next scene, Suzie wears the coat given by Lise and goes to the company. So Gong is surprised seeing this dress because she had seen this same dress in Song's hand. That is why she thinks maybe something is going on between these two. Just then, Shuchu also comes there, and she is surprised seeing Sushi in this dress because she thought Lizzie is going to give this dress to her. On the other side, Lizzie comes to meet Uncle Bai, where he asks him, "Did you broker a deal between my dad and Ziwi?" So Uncle tells, "This is a very old matter." So Lizzie asks about a contract which was between Ziwi and Shen Jihong. Hearing this name, he remembers his wife who had died 10 years ago, but they had a daughter whom he took abroad with him, whose name was Sushia. Hearing this, Lisa comes back to his company and remembers that day, the day Sushi's dad committed suicide. Now we see a scene from the past. On that day, Shen Jihong's hand slipped from Lizzie's hand, and after falling from the building, he died, which meant Lizzie didn't go there to kill him that day, but to save him. Now in the present scene, Lizzie understood. Suzie has come here to find the reason for her dad's death. After this, when Lizzie is going home, then Song gives him Susie's full report. What did she do today? And also tells, today Suzie has stayed in the hotel. Uncle Bai has seen many people coming and going. Hearing this, Lizzie is surprised and quickly goes to Suzie in that hotel. As soon as Suzie opens the door, Lizzie goes straight inside and sees Suzie had ordered many products. Suzie tells him, I had to order all this stuff to do market research. Hearing this, Lizzie understands she was the delivery boy who was coming to his room again and again. And Suzie also understands Lisa is keeping an eye on me. Just then, Lisa remembers Uncle Bai had told Suzie spent her life in suffering with her mom. Remembering all this, Lisa gets emotional. So Suzie tells him, market research work was given to me by Suzie. Just then, Susie's gaze falls on the pre-party invitation card in Lisa's pocket, and she also wanted to go to that party. That is why she starts looking for tricks to get that card. And seeing Lisa eating snacks, she snatches the packet from his hand and says, this is not good for your health. So Suzie, seeing Lisa caring for her, gets into tension. And then she asks Lisa to drink with her so that she can take the card. That is why she serves a lot of drink for herself and Lisa. So Lisa also drinks the whole glass. Suzie is surprised by this, so Lisa asks her, if you have any wish I can fulfill it. But Susie's attention is only on the invitation card which Lisa notices, and showing her the card asks, do you want this? But Suzie refuses because she felt, he will force me to take the card. But nothing like that happens, and Lisa puts the card back in his pocket and leaves. The next day, Suzie shows the market research file to Shi Chu, by which Shi Chu gets impressed. But then she tells Suzie, you have been fired. Hearing this, Suzie is shocked. Just then, Huo comes there and he asks, transfer Suzie to my office. Hearing this, Shi Chu cannot refuse. On the other side, Lizzie gets Shi Chu's message, our plan has failed. From which we find out Shi Chu had fired Suzie only at Lizzie's saying. Now we see a scene from the past. When Lizzie goes to meet his friend Oscar and Shi Chu at a bar there, he tells Shi Chu, fire Suzie. Hearing this, both are surprised and ask, what is the reason for it? So Lizzie says, I don't want to see her in Ocean Hotel. But Shi Chu refuses to do this work. So Lizzie says, if she stays in the office, I won't come. That is why Shi Chu has to agree to him. Now in the present scene, Lizzie was rock climbing, but even after trying a lot, he cannot climb to the top. Just then Song comes to him and says, you should talk to Suzie. Tell her, I know everything about you. But Lizzie didn't want that because Huo will get alert by this and Suzie will also be in danger from this. And then Lizzie tells, the day my dad died, all the hospital cameras were also off that day. And on that same day, I talked to them for the last time, in which they told, I am going to give 1% share to Huo. But later when I saw the agreement, there were 10% shares in it, which was a very strange thing. And right now, due to not having proof, I cannot go against Huo. And Suzie was also in danger from this, and for this reason he had fired Suzie too. Now we see a scene from the past. When Lizzie's dad was admitted to the hospital, then Huo brings the shares transfer agreement paper to him and shows him how with his trust he got his fake signature done by the secretary. And then he removes his oxygen mask, due to which he dies, and then he puts his thumbprint on the paper. Now, in the present scene, Suzie goes to the party with Ming Hao, where Lisa sees her and messaging her says, you weren't even invited to this party. So Suzie sees his message and starts looking here and there, but Lisa stood behind her. Suzie replies, this is my personal time, you cannot ask me questions like this. Just then, Huo comes there. So Lisa leaves to meet him. In the meantime, Chen Wei Ran also comes there who calls Huo, talk with me. Seeing this, Suzie starts following him, which Lizzie also notices. And here, Chen Wei Ran and Huo are discussing together, and Suzie is also listening to their conversation. But she doesn't understand who is Chen Wei Ran talking to, and right there, Ming Hao, when he doesn't meet Suzie at the party, he starts calling Suzie, and Suzie had also forgotten to put the phone on silent. That is why as soon as the mobile ring rings, Suzie leaves quickly, but those people had heard her voice. That is why Chen Wei Ran looks outside, so in the rush to escape him, one of Suzie's shoes falls outside, but Suzie couldn't stop. That is why she leaves from there without picking up the shoes. Just then, Lisa brings her shoes and makes her wear them, seeing which Suzie gets surprised. This meant Lizzie had picked up those shoes before Chen Wei Ran saw them. And then Lizzie takes Suzie with him. And in the meantime, Shi Chu's dad draws everyone's attention to himself at the party and says, because of work, I missed my daughter's birthday. That is why today I want to give her a gift here. Who was on the other side of the curtains? Lizzie and Suzie were hiding right there. From which Lizzie understood, those people are about to be caught. That is why he tells Suzie, whatever I am going to do now is for our safety. And then as soon as the curtains are removed, Lizzie kisses Suzie. Seeing this, everyone remains stunned. So Lizzie announces in front of everyone, Suzie is my girlfriend. from which Huo feels Suzie came to the party with Licia. After this, Lizzie brings Suzie to his house because he wants to clear all things with her. But Suzie was still doing the drama of being ignorant of all this, so Lisa keeps his photo in front of her, and then one by one starts telling all her things which he had recognized the very first time, how she acted of illness and came to Ocean Hotel to make away so that she can tell the reason for her dad's death. And Lisa also knew Suzie considers him the culprit. Now hearing Lisa's words, Suzie had understood she has been caught. That is why Suzie asks him, "When my dad fell from the building that day, what were you doing up there?" So Lisa says, "When I found out about him being in a problem, then I immediately went to meet him. But by then it was too late." Hearing this, Suzie asks him about the contract, which increased by 10% after signing. So Lisa says, "We are finding that out right now." So Suzie says, "I saw signatures on documents in that room which were of that day, the day we were camping." So Lizzie asks her, "What did you come to do at the party?" Suzie tells, "I came to corner Chen Wei-ran, whom I heard talking to someone. We will earn money using wine and art." And then Suzie asks him to drink with her, and then both drink a lot. So Suzie tells, "That day I saw my dad dying in front of my eyes. That is why I wanted this memory of mine to go away. But now I want to find out the truth." And then remembering her dad, Suzie sleeps right there, which Lisa covers with a blanket. The next morning when Suzie wakes up, Lizzie is making breakfast for her. And while having breakfast, Lizzie tells her, "You have become my girlfriend in front of the world now. That is why we will have to move forward carefully." In the next scene, Lizzie tells Huo, "Keep Sushi back in your office," to which Huo agrees. So Lizzie tells him, "The video exposing Lin Tai was published by Suji only." And Lizzie tells all this so that he can make Huo believe on him, that Suji did all this to make a place in the company. Hearing this, Huo gets quite angry, but he pretends as if he is quite happy with this work. And then Huo asks Lisa, "When did you meet Suji for the first time?" So Lisa tells the whole rock climbing story. And right there on the other side, all workers ask Suji the same question. So Suzie shows them all the photo of the mountain which Yifei secretly clicks a photo of, and goes and tells Huo. So Huo also believes Lizzie's rock climbing story. After this, Lizzie apologizes to Xu Chu for ruining her party. So Xu Chu is quite sad about this thing, but she pretends as if she is happy with this relationship. And then she asks Lisa, "Have lunch with me." Just then, Suzie also messages Lisa, "Go for lunch." So Lizzie refuses. But then Xu Chu finds out that Lizzie is chatting with Suhi. That is why, doing a drama of work herself, she refuses to go for lunch. So Lizzie goes to Suji and asks her, "Have lunch with me." So seeing this, all employees are shocked, and these two together go to a restaurant. So the waitress brings a dish for them, so they didn't like it. Just then Huo arrives there, and seeing Lizzie eating this dish says, "You didn't like this, right?" So Lizzie says, "Suzie ordered this." And then Lizzie feeds Susie with his own hands. And then unwillingly Lizzie has to eat that dish in front of Huo. And then Suzie also feeds Lizzie, so Lizzie cannot refuse. And in this way, both start feeding spicy food to each other, due to which tears come in Lizzie's eyes. Seeing which, Suzie cleans his face with her hands, and from behind Xu Chu gets upset seeing them close to each other. In the next scene, Chen Wei-ran goes to meet an art exhibition owner whose name is Shen. Chen Wei-ran had gone to finalize a very big deal with them. But for this deal, Chen Wei-ran asks for shares too, to which Mr. Shen said, "I have no problem. I just want to meet his superior once, so that he can guess, are his financial conditions up to their level or not?" For which Chen Wei-ran agrees and leaves after finalizing the deal. After he leaves, Suzie comes there, who wanted to meet Mr. Shen, to know what Chen Wei-ran talked to them about. And just then, Lin Tai was also keeping an eye on Suzie there, whom Huo had told, "Keep an eye on her." And when Suzie goes inside and talks about meeting the boss, she tells the staff only premium guests can meet them, and their premium guests are those who buy paintings above 1 million. Hearing this, Suzie talks about buying many paintings and tells, "My boyfriend Lizzie will make their payment." Just then, Shen is also watching all this. That is why, hearing Lizzie's name, he himself goes to meet Suhi and takes her to his office. On the other side, Lin Tai phones Huo and tells Suzie has also gone to Mr. Shen's art gallery. Hearing this, Huo is quite surprised and leaves to meet Mr. Shen. And here, Suzie tells Mr. Shen, "The one who came here right now was my man." Mr. Shen finds this talk quite strange. That is why he says, "This deal is quite big." That is why your boyfriend's being here is necessary. And anyway, Mr. Shen had never seen Suzie before. That is why all this was quite strange for him. So Suzie says, I just want to clear this that Chen Wei Ran isn't earning profit through both parties. That is why it is necessary for me to know all this. Hearing this, Mr. Shen also gets ready to tell her details. But just then he gets Chen Wei Ran's call, who tells him, my boss is coming to meet you right now. And then when Mr. Shen looks down, Huo had arrived there. That is why he tells Suzie, we will talk about this sometime later. So Suzie also asks him, keep all this secret. But when Suzie starts leaving, Huo stops her and asks, where did you get this hobby of paintings from? So Suzie says, I just came like that. Yifei says, so how did Mr. Shen say yes to meet you? Hearing this, Suzie was caught. But just then, Lizzo arrives there and says, I told you to wait for me, didn't I? So Suzie says, I thought you would be busy. So Lizzie tells Suzie had seen a painting online and she always wanted to buy it. Just then, the staff comes there and tells she has selected 7 paintings whose cost is more than 10 million yuan. Hearing this, Lizzie's senses fly away. And he tells Suzie, you said to take only 1 painting, didn't you? So Suzie also understands he has made a mistake of buying paintings. That is why she tells Lizzie, we will take this later. But Huo takes him aside to talk to Lizzie and asks Yifei, help Suzie in buying paintings. And then taking Lizzie aside says, tell me a little about the painting Suzie showed you. And if Suzie chooses the same painting, then it will be a gift from my side. Huo does this so that he can know, is Lizzie telling the truth or lying? And Lisa also understands his trick. And then he starts looking at all paintings carefully. Just then he sees a painting among them in which there was a tree on top of a mountain, and along with it sunrise was also happening. So Lisa tells Huo it is that sunrise painting, and then both start watching Suzie. Suzie first goes past that sunrise painting, seeing which Huo is quite happy. Now Lisa will be caught. But Suzie suddenly remembers that sunrise moment. That is why she comes back to the sunrise painting and selects it. Seeing this, Lisa is quite happy, and thanking Huo for gifting the painting leaves from there. And then in the car, Lisa gets Mr. Shen's call, and he asks, why is your girlfriend coming in Chen Wei Ran's matter? Lisa says, this is a very long story I will tell later. So Mr. Shen says, Huo asked me a lot about Suzie. What is my talk with her, but I told him nothing. By the way, Huo is silently buying these arts so that he can seize Ocean's access. Just then we find out Mr. Shen is on Lizzie's side, and to catch Huo they are planning for a long time. And then Lizzie drops Sushi at her house. And right there in Susie's house, Lin Tai was looking for a voice recorder. He doesn't find the voice recorder, but a voice file is lying on her laptop. As Susie enters the room, Lin Tai hides. But seeing her laptop open, Susie understands. Someone has come here. That is why Susie starts working on the laptop. Just then, she sees reflection and sees Lin Tai. Seeing this, Susie starts leaving, but Lin Tai comes out and starts asking Susie, where is that voice recorder? So Susie attacks Lin Tai and phones Lizzie, but Lin Tai catches her and starts asking for the voice recorder again. Just then, Lizzie arrives there and Lin Tai and Lizzie start fighting. After this, Lin Tai goes to Huo, so Huo gets very angry at him. So apologizing, Lin Tai asks for money because his dad is admitted in the hospital. Huo says, play this game with me. If you get points in this game, I will give you that much money. But Lin Tai loses in that game. So Huo asks him, go back. Hearing this, Lin Tai starts threatening him and says, if you didn't give me money, then I will bring your and Chen Wei Ran's deed in front of the world. That, how behind the hotel business you resell art. And I also know your hand was in Lizzie's dad's death. After speaking all this, Lin Tai understood. He did very wrong by threatening Huo, but Huo calms down and says, cooperating with each other will be right for both of us. That is why you go home, I will give you money tomorrow. So Lin Tai leaves from there. So Huo starts remembering something. Now we see a scene from the past, the day Huo became chairman. Just then he gets a message. When Huo opens that message, there was a video in it, in which it was clearly visible that he only killed Lizzie's dad. And along with that video was a message in which it was written, if you want to keep this secret a secret, then do as I say. Now in the present scene, Huo decides he won't leave Lin Tai alive. And right there on the other side, when Lin Tai was going home just then, a car suddenly comes in front of him from the wrong side. In the attempt to save himself from it, Lin Tai's car loses balance and falls into the river. The next day in the news, it was being told about the car accident, in which officers said, this accident happened due to a drunk driver, and being told, the driver is currently missing. Hearing this, Huo gets into tension. Where will Lin Tai be? In the next scene, Lin Tai is with Lizzie because Lizzie had asked Song, follow him. Now because Lizzie had saved his life due to this, Lin Tai is very ashamed. So Lizzie says, I know you were just following Huo's orders, and then Lise gives Lin Tai a card in which there was a lot of money for his father's treatment. Seeing this, Lin Tai thanks him. So Lise says, I know you have been working with Huo for a long time, that is why you have to tell me all secrets related to him. So Lin Tai says, I heard Huo had asked Yifei, find a man named Spider, because the day your dad was admitted in the hospital, then Spider had cleaned the window there, and at that time, he wasn't inside the room but outside, where that day, he must have definitely seen something that, after that, he never met again. Hearing this, Lise leaves to find that Spider. In the next scene, Lise brings Suzie to his home and gives her tea so she doesn't feel cold, and then giving her a new phone tells, your house is not safe now. That is why you stay in the hotel. So Suzie says, what benefit does Huo have in closing me like this? To which Lise says, you don't know Huo how dangerous he is. Suzie says, I am not scared of him. So Lise says, I am scared, lest he causes you harm. And he doesn't know anything about Ziwi's relationship for the time being, that is why you stay away from him. Hearing this, Suzie feels he is doing all this just to save her uncle. So Lise says, it's not like that the Ocean Hotel which my dad stood up alone Huo wants to usurp that hotel alone. That is why I want to bring his truth in front of everyone. So Suzie asks, how are you going to do all this? So Lise takes Suzie to his secret room. As Lise opens the door, Suzie remains shocked. So Lise says, after Song, you are the second person who knows about this room. So Suzie sees Lise has kept a plan ready against Huo too. So Lise says, to catch a man like Huo, we had to practice a lot, and I am acting to be weak in front of Huo for this reason too. Just then, Suzie sees the walking stick kept behind and asks, is your leg hurt? So Lise tells her about his artificial leg. Hearing this, Suzie is shocked and asks him, how did all this happen? So Lise says, all this happened during an adventure trip, but I am still that confident that if I reach the top someday, then I again have hope that I will meet a girl there who again considers me a wild spirit. Hearing this, Suzie gets happy and asks him, teach rock climbing too, for which Lise agrees. But he first asks Suzie to dry her hair, and then Lise himself starts drying Suzie's hair. Seeing this, Suzie clicks his photo because she wanted to remember this moment always, and then Lise makes Suzie wear a bracelet. So looking at him, Suzie gets emotional and says, we both don't have parents, that is why from now on we both will take care of each other. Lise also agrees to this thing and starts kissing her, and Suzie also closes her eyes. But just then the doorbell rings, at which both get angry. Who is it at this time? And Lise goes and opens the door. So Song is there, and he tells Lise, I have reached Lin Tai to a safe place. And the spider, his real name is Liu Awei, who is missing for 2 years after your dad's death, and no one knows about him now. So Lise asks Song, continue your search. In the next scene, Suzie goes to meet her sister in the hospital where Minghao is also present. Here, Song tells Lise, some person is following Suzie. Hearing this, Lise says, he must be Ho's man. And here, Minghao comes to drop Suzie back, so Lise is there. And he tells Minghao, you don't need to drop my girlfriend, I will drop her myself. So Minghao warns him, if anything happened to Suzie on the business trip, then I won't leave you. So Lise assures him, I will take good care of Suzie. Now on the other side, Yifei shows today's photo to Huo. Seeing which Huo recognizes this is Shen Ziqing, who is Shen Jihong's daughter. But what is Suzie's relationship with them? To find this out, he tells Yifei. After this, Song tells Lise about Spider, Liu Awei. Hearing about his daughter is a problem, and for that Liu Awei used to work there so that he could collect money, but just after your dad's death he is missing. So Lise asks Song to set up a camp like this, in which they treat such children who don't have money to give. With this, maybe Liu Awei also comes forward. In the next scene, Suzie and Li Zai reach Yefeng Hotel, where Suzie starts remembering her childhood, how she used to play here with her sister. Just then, Suzie's gaze falls on the bar counter there, from which she remembers. I heard Chen Weiran talking at the party that wine is the major source of their profit. That is why she asked Lise to drink with her. Just then, Chen Weiran arrives there, who gets scared seeing the wine bottle in Suzie's hand and says, this is not best according to your taste. And then he arranges the best wine for them. So Lise returns the bottle and asks, arrange a meeting. And then during the meeting, Lisa tells everyone about Food Ocean, for which you all have to make arrangements nicely, or else if anything goes wrong, then everyone present there, their job will be in danger. Now after the meeting, Chen Weiran takes Lisa and Suzie to their room and tells, I have booked a honeymoon suite room for you both. When Lisa and Suzie go inside, all arrangements of a couple were made. Seeing which Suzie understands, they want to see whether we are a real couple or not. That is why Suzie had come with full preparation beforehand, and she keeps all luggage in the room so that everyone believes that these two are a real couple. Now the turn comes. Who will sleep on the bed? for which both start playing a game and tie a blindfold on eyes. And whoever reaches the bed first will sleep on that very bed and the other on the couch. And as both start going, they get quite close to each other. To make themselves feel close, both become very happy, and then going back towards the bed in which Lizzie reaches the bed first. But then he goes back and lets Suzie win. Seeing this, Suzie is very happy. But before sleeping, Suzie wants to write a handover note on the invitation card whose idea Lisa likes. But he had doubt on Suzie's handwriting. So Suzie says, "If you want, test me and see." So Lisa gives her the pen, gifted by his dad, to use, and then asks her to write and speaks, "I want to live with you in a small town where we kiss each other under the sky full of stars." Hearing this, Suzie pauses. So Lizzie asks her, "Do you remember that night from 2 years ago?" Then Suzie starts remembering that moment when they kissed each other, and then being quite nervous, she doesn't answer. So Lisa tells her, "Since I saw you the first time, I have started liking you since then, and I still remember every single moment of that evening." Hearing this, Suzie says, "You should understand that was just a small coincidence of our life, so that we meet, and you don't need to remember all this." But just then, Lisa turns on his star lamp, due to which many stars are formed in the room. Seeing this, both get lost in each other and start kissing. But just then, Suzie makes an excuse of toothache and goes to the washroom because she had become quite nervous, and thinks, "Did Lizzie propose to me just now? And seeing me go like this, hope he doesn't consider it rejection." Thinking all this, Suzie gets worried. What should I do now? That is why, gathering courage, she comes out. But seeing Lizzie, she goes back inside and says, "He is handsome anyway." And here, Lizzie gets Song's call. He tells, "I have started charity work and many needed families have come in it." Hearing this, Lizzie is happy that he is able to help people. The next day, for Ocean, Suzie was asking for everything. Seeing this, Chen Wei Ran and Lizzie are very happy. So Suzie asks Lizzie, "Whom did you invite for the reception opening?" Who was none other than Oscar, who was with Shu Chu, and Song was taking them there. But Shu Chu was quite irritated with Oscar because he had kept the guitar with him, and on top of that, he was talking a lot. That is why Shu Chu puts on headphones. After reaching the party, Oscar sings a song, hearing which Suzie remembers, "I heard this song on the mountain with Lisa." And at this moment, Suzie and Lisa start looking at each other. Seeing this, Shu Chu leaves, and just then, Suzie starts having pain in her teeth again. So Lizzie asks her, "Get a checkup." After this, Lizzie goes to take medicine for Sushi's toothache, where he wasn't understanding which medicine should I take. That is why he takes 3 medicines. And right there on the other side, Ming Hao tells. On Suzi's asking, "I am invited here." And when Ming Hao finds out that Suzie has toothache, so he takes out a medicine and gives it to her, which he had ordered from Germany for someone. Just then, Li Tse comes there. And seeing Ming Hao with Suzie sits right there and starts eating from Suzie's plate only. Seeing which Ming Hao doesn't like it at all. So Li Tse asks him, "For what reason have you come here?" Ming Hao says, "I have come here to handle legal affairs." And then Li Tse sees that Ming Hao had already brought medicine for Suzie. So he puts down the medicine brought by him, and then sending Suzie there tells Ming Hao, "You are probably caring a bit too much for Suzie." So Ming Hao says, "We are family, and an attack has happened on her before too. That is why I want to stay close to her as much as possible." Hearing this, Lisa asks him, "Stay away from Suzie," but Ming Hao refuses. So Lisa gets up and leaves. After this, Lisa and Suzie go into the room. So seeing that medicine bag there, Suzie is very happy. Now the next day, Lisa wakes up, so Suzie was treating him like a girlfriend, because she had understood, if I have to show our relationship as real, then I will have to do all this. So Lizzie says, "Now we are alone, that is why now you don't need to do all this." And after a while, Mr. Luoman and his wife come there with Huo, where Huo was talking to Chen Wei Ran. The chairman election is coming near. This moment, Liza, working with everyone, is creating tension for Huo, lest he stands in the chairman election. That is why Chen Wei Ran tells Huo, "We will have to ruin this ocean event somehow, so that his image gets spoiled." So Huo says, "We will use Suzie, who is Shen Zihong's daughter." Hearing this, Chen Wei Ran remains surprised. So Huo says, "The cocktail Suya will make for Mrs. Luoman if it gets poisoned. Somehow then ocean will also be destroyed in this way. This method seems dangerous to Chen." Wei Ran, but he agrees to it. In the next scene, when everyone is at the party, then Chen Wei Ran goes to the kitchen and puts poison in all the lemons, and sends it to the party via his cook. And right there at the party when Shu Chu sees Li Tse and Suzie, she doesn't feel good. Just then, Oscar tells her, looking at both of them, it doesn't seem that they are a fake couple. So Shu Chu gets worried and leaves from there. And then Suzie was making cocktails for Mrs. Luoman. But as she makes it just then, Oscar comes there and starts tasting it. But it is quite strong, that is why Oscar keeps it back. And then while going, he also picks up a lemon so that he can clean his guitar. Just then, Mrs. Luoman also comes there, who asks Suzie, keep the cocktail a little light. So, Suzie uses yellow lemon instead of green lemon. After this, Oscar starts his performance. So everyone starts enjoying it, and Huo was waiting, when will Mrs. Luoman's condition worsen? But instead of her, Oscar's condition starts worsening, due to which Lise quickly sends him to the hospital. So Shuchu handles the show ahead. But everyone at the party was saying this, Oscar's condition worsened due to drinking the cocktail. Hearing this, Mrs. Luoman gets quite scared. And right there on the other side, Suzie tells Lizzie, I had made that cocktail for Mrs. Luoman. But how Oscar's condition worsened, I am not understanding this. Lizzie also feels this is not any accident at this occasion. That is why he calls the police. Come for investigation. I made that cocktail for Mrs. Luoman. Hearing this, Lizzie understands someone has done all this to spoil Ocean. And when Oscar was being taken to the hospital, he gives his guitar pick to Suzie, from which Suzie remembers Oscar had picked up a piece of lemon. That is why Suzie comes back to the same place to see the green lemon. So all green lemons were removed from there. Seeing this, Suzie's doubt turns into certainty. This is all a conspiracy. That is why she quickly goes to Oscar's changing room. So she finds that lemon piece there which Oscar had taken to clean the pick. And then Sushi goes to the kitchen. So there Chen Wei Ran, putting all green lemons in a box, was taking them somewhere. That is why she follows Chen Wei Ran, and taking the car keys from Song says, I have found evidence of the one mixing poison. Saying this, she leaves. And right there, Lise and Ming Hao were also searching for Suji, because her phone was also not connecting. Just then, Song comes and tells Lise, Suji took the car and went after someone. Hearing this, Lise gets quite worried. Just then, he gets Susie's call who tells him, the one mixing poison in Mrs. Luoman's cocktail is Chen Wei Ran, who is going to erase evidence. That is why I am following him. So Lizzie asks her, send your location. And Chen Wei Ran was also getting suspicious that someone is following him. But without caring about it, he goes into a building. So Suji also goes into his building. But just then, Chen Wei Ran attacks her and makes her unconscious. After a while, Lizzie also arrives there. And finding Susie's phone right there, Lizzie understands Suzie is in danger. And right there, Chen Wei Ran also calls Huo and tells everything happened. And just then, finding Su Xie Li, Ze had also reached there. Seeing this, Chen Wei Ran gets even more scared. So Huo tells him, this is a good opportunity. If Lise doesn't reach the press conference tomorrow, Mr. Luoman will cancel the ocean event. So Chen Wei Ran says, I cannot keep them locked here forever, and sometime or the other, they will definitely catch me. So Huo threatens Chen Wei Ran, I will take your son, and turns off the phone. In the meantime, Suzie also wakes up, who calls Lisa, come here. So Lizzie also goes near her and unties her. But just then, Chen Wei Ran locks the room from outside. Seeing this, Lise explains to Chen Wei Ran, let us go. But Chen Wei Ran doesn't listen to anything and says, I am forced to do all this, and after the conference I will set you free. Saying this, he leaves. So Suzie and Lise had no way to wait. That is why they sit right there, where Suzie asks Lisa, why didn't you give me the medicine you brought for me? So Lisa says, when Ming Hao had brought medicine for you, then what need did you have for my medicine? Hearing this, Suzie says, Ming Hao is like my family, but you are separate from him. But just then, Suzie starts feeling dizzy. So Lizzie looks around and gets quite scared, because there were toxic chemicals there too. Therefore, staying there longer was not right for them. That is why they start looking for a way to get out. Just then, Lise's gaze falls on that window from where they could get out. That is why Lise starts looking for things to go to the window, and tells Susia, I will go up via the pipe, and after breaking the glass, I will get you out too. And then Lizzie somehow reaches up, and after breaking the glass, fixes the rod, so that through it he can reach up, which is a successful one. And then with the help of a rope, he starts pulling Suzie, which was quite tough, because due to pressure on the artificial leg, blood starts coming from his leg. But even after this, Lizzie doesn't give up, and pulls Suzie out. And when Suzie sees that blood is coming from Lizzie's leg, she takes him from there to the hospital. So the doctor quickly starts treating him. In the meantime, a nurse asks Suzie, get your treatment done too, because she was also hurt. But Suzie refuses because she didn't want to leave Lisa, and then she starts crying. So after a while, doctors come out and tell Lize's condition is better than before, but for further treatment we will have to talk to his previous doctor. Suzie didn't know anything about this, but she tells, years ago while rock climbing Lise had this condition. This talk was quite strange for the doctors, because if he had fallen then his other bones would also be damaged. But it wasn't like that with Lise. That is why asking, keep Lise here for a few days, she goes to Lise and was touching him just then. Lise also holds her hand, and then Suzie brings healthy soup for Lise so that he recovers, and feeds him with her own hands. Just then, Lise notices that she doesn't have the bracelet in her hand. So Suzie says, in exchange for all this, you will have to give me my bracelet back, otherwise I don't get all this. Hearing this, Lise is quite shocked, because that bracelet was quite important for him, because his dad had given it to Suzie. So Suzie says, right now, you are the most important for me. But by the way, how did this leg accident of yours happen? Because the doctor told that the condition of your leg didn't happen due to accident. So Lise says, this is a small hospital, that is why they wouldn't know much, and I know my body well. Hearing this, Suzie starts cleaning his face. In this, both get quite close to each other, so both start kissing each other. Just then, Ming Hao arrives there, and seeing both of them like this gets shocked, because seeing Suzie doing this with Lisa, he didn't feel good at all. Just then, a nurse comes into the room who tells someone is waiting for them outside. Hearing this, Suzie goes outside, because she had called Ming Hao, and Suzie tells Ming Hao the whole story about Chen Wei Ran, and when Lisa finds out about Mr. Luoman's deadline, so he leaves with Subi. Ming Hao goes to that chemical factory where Lise and Suzie were kept locked by Chen Wei Ran, and right there he finds Lisa's phone. So Ming Hao picks it up and leaves, and when Chen Wei Ran was leaving then from Lisa's number, he gets a call, seeing which Chen Wei Ran gets scared. But Lise hadn't made that call. Ming Hao had, and Ming Hao doesn't say anything from the other side either. On the other side, the shareholders' meeting takes place, where everyone had tension. If Mr. Luoman cancels Ocean, then we will have to pay compensation. And all shareholders lose trust in Lisa because at this time he was missing. That is why now everyone tells Huo, do something. And right there on the other side, Chen Wei Ran goes to the factory. So he finds out that Lise and Suzie have run away. So he calls Lise's number, so he hears the sound of the ringtone. When he goes to that side, Ming Hao is there, in front of whom Chen Wei Ran was acting innocent. So Ming Hao says, some time ago I met Chen Wei Ran, who is Chen Wei Ran's son. And right there in the meeting, Yi Fei tells Suzie has a hand behind all this. She only mixed poison in the drink. And it is clearly visible in the CCTV too, that apart from that glass, no one else touched it. So Shi Chu says, we cannot doubt her with this much evidence. So everyone says, if it is so, then why is she missing after this incident? So Shi Chu says, what reason would she have to do this? And Huo was also about to reveal Suzie is. Just then, Suzie and Li Zi arrive there, seeing whom Huo remains shocked. So Suzie tells, even if I had readied the glass completely, but if someone had already mixed ingredients in it, and then she shows everyone the lemon piece and Oscar's pick, and says, when this pick was cleaned with lemon, its color turned black, and the one mixing poison in that lemon is no one else but Chen Wei Ran, whom I and Lizzie had seen destroying it. But when we followed him, he locked us in the chemical factory, where we could have died. Hearing this, everyone gets shocked and ask, where is the evidence against Chen Wei Ran? Just then, Ming Hao also arrives bringing Chen Wei Ran, seeing whom Huo gets very scared. But Chen Wei Ran takes all the blame of this incident on his head and tells, my target was Mrs. Luoman. I wanted Ocean to be cancelled and Lizzie's name to be defamed. Now we see a scene from the past. When Ming Hao met Chen Wei Ran, he tells him, I met your son who is a very good violinist, and tells him a lot about him. How did he become so famous? How did Chen Wei Ran handle his son's future using his sources? Hearing all this, Chen Wei Ran gets scared for his son. And then Ming Hao shows him the photo of his music academy graduation, in which his son had topped. But he wasn't visible anywhere in this photo. Along with this, he also tells, do you know Wei Ran? I found out they don't know any Wei Ran, and if this matter came out then, his son's entire career will be ruined. Hearing this, Chen Wei Ran gets quite scared and agrees, I accept my crime for my son. Now, in the present scene, after listening to Chen Wei Ran's words, Yi Fei says, is someone else making you do all this? And Huo also intentionally starts getting angry at him. So Chen Wei Ran says, I have done all this, so I am ready for punishment. So Huo also puts all the responsibility ahead back to Lise. After this, Lise goes to Mr. Luoman and tells, the whole thing is, due to which whatever doubt was between them also gets clear. And owns Ocean Event agrees, I will continue. But Lisa hadn't told Mr. Luo Man about Chen Wei Ran. Rather, he had said Oscar's health worsened not due to drinking cocktail, but due to eating expired food. In the next scene, Lisa comes to the same store where Suzie had taken food, giving her bracelet. That is why Lisa was about to take that bracelet back, that just then Ming Hao arrives there. And he had also come to take that same bracelet. But when he finds out that Lisa has already taken that bracelet, so he offers him, I will give you more money. So on this, Lisa also wasn't backing down and increases the price more. And just then, Suzie comes there and sends both of them out, and tells the owner, after my boyfriend got admitted to the hospital, his brain has gone bad. That is why I will pay only 200 wen for the deal. After this, Suzie calls Ming Hao to meet her, and tells him, I have to go to sign Shen's discharge paper. So Ming Hao says, Shen is improving quite fast, and she asks, how is Suzie? That is why it would be right that you come back with us only, where we can live our normal life like before. But Suzie staying here wanted to help Li Zi, so that she can bring this thing in front of everyone that behind bankrupting Zi, we was Huo's hand. So Ming Hao tells her, Huo knows everything about your identity and object, and then Ming Hao makes Suzie listen to Chen Wei Ran's recording, in which he admits this thing. Their plan was to throw Li Zi out of board members through Suzie. Hearing this, Suzie understands that the longer she stays close to Lisa, the more danger will increase for Lisa. That is why, unwillingly, she agrees to go with Ming Hao. And then, Suzie goes back to her room. So there, Lisa had made noodles for her. So Suzie asks, take our photo before eating noodles. And he doesn't click of noodles, but clicks Lizzie's photo. And on this moment, she gets quite upset too, because going away from Lizzie wasn't feeling good to her at all. And Lizzie tells her, you should leave from here tomorrow itself, because tomorrow is Ocean, due to which Huo will be busy. So Suyi gives him best wishes for Ocean. So Lizzie tells her, after meeting you for the first time, I always regretted why couldn't I meet you back. But 2 years later when you came back into my life, then I decided that now I won't let you go anywhere. But the conditions that are now in that for some time I will have to keep you away from myself. And then both get quite emotional and hide their tears from each other. And then both start watching a movie together, which was quite emotional. So watching it, Suji starts crying again, because in that too, the couple was being separated from each other. Now seeing her crying to comfort her, Lizzie keeps her head on his shoulder, where Sushie sleeps, holding his hand on his shoulder only. So Lizzie makes her sleep on the bed and starts looking at the things there. How many good moments she spent here with Suji, but until everything gets fine, only Susie's memories will remain with him. The next morning when Lizzie was sleeping, Susie leaves from there, but Lizzie was acting to sleep, and he watches her leaving from the window. On the other side, at Song Li's request, he goes to take those paintings and remaining ocean items. Now he reaches there, so all the stuff kept there is gone. He doesn't understand anything from this. And here Suji tells Ming Hao, Shen's condition is quite better than before. That is why leaving this place we will go back abroad, and will stay happy like before. Hearing this, Suji is not that happy. So Ming Hao goes to get something for her. And in the meantime, Suji gets Lisa's doctor's call. So Suji tells him, I am Lisa's girlfriend and I want to ask how did the injury happen in Lisa's leg? So the doctor tells, Lizzie was ready to give his life in the attempt to save someone else's life. Hearing this, Susie doesn't understand anything. So the doctor tells, 2 years ago in the attempt to save someone, Lizzie got his leg injury. At that time, due to a lot of rain and heavy bleeding, his leg got affected badly. And to save Lizzie's life, we had to separate the leg from his body. And the person he was saving, he couldn't be saved. But poor Lizzie had to pay its price. Hearing this, Suji starts crying because she knew that the person Lizzie was trying to save was Susie's dad. After knowing all this, Susie feels very bad, and she starts going back to Lizzie. And seeing her coming like this, Ming Hao starts crying he did nothing for Susie. In the next scene, Lizzie was welcoming everyone at the ocean event. Just then, Huo comes there confidently because he had destroyed the ocean items. So Lizzie also takes Huo with him to show something where one by one he removes curtains from all things, seeing which Huo gets quite shocked because all that was ocean stuff, because Huo felt he has burned ocean items and destroyed them, but nothing like that happened. So Lisa tells, I knew that you were keeping an eye on Song. That is why I had already shifted all the stuff somewhere else through other routes. And in them was that art painting too, which I had bought from art gallery owner Mr. Shen. But Huo acts of being ignorant of all this and asks, what is the Ocean Group collection doing here? So Lizzie says, my dad trusting you made you in charge to supply art, and the money that was given to you was 10 million, which you kept with yourself. and maybe my dad came to know this thing due to which his life went. But Huo asks him, where is the evidence? So Lizzie says, here in Ocean, everyone is an expert who will tell just by seeing whether these are real or fake. Hearing this, Huo gets scared, because the reputation built over so many years will get ruined in one moment. That is why he grabs Lizzie's collar. So Lizzie says, I will snatch everything from you that is mine. So Huo asks him, if you want, take it. So Lizzie gives him a file in which it was written, he resigns from the post of Ocean Group chairman, and selects Lizzie as chairman in his place. Seeing this, Huo gets quite angry. After this, Lizzie starts the event with his speech. Just then, Suzie comes in front. So, seeing each other, both get emotional. And leaving the speech, Lizzie goes to Suzie and asks, why did you come back? So Suzie asks him, when you were saving my dad, was it raining at that time? Now we see a scene from the past, when Lizzie comes to save Uncle Shenji Hong, Susie's dad. But Uncle Shenji Hong tells him, Ho deceived me after that, I have no way left. That is why I am giving my life. But Lizzie assures him, we will solve everything legally. But Shenji Hong doesn't listen to him and jumps from the building. Seeing which, Lizzie quickly grabs his hand, but his leg gets injured by an iron rod, whose wound was increasing. But Lizzie still doesn't give up and tries fully to save him, but Uncle Shenji Hong himself leaving his hand falls down. Now in the present scene, Suzie crying says, if I didn't get your doctor's call, then you would have never told me this thing. So Lizzie hugs Suzie and apologizing says, that day, I tried my best to save your dad. And yes, tomorrow you will have to go back. I feel along with acquiring Ocean Group behind my dad's death too is Huo's hand only. Because when I talked to dad for the last time, he had told me, I don't feel Huo's intentions are right. That is why, after coming back, we will take his power from Huo. But by the time I reached, his death had happened, and he had transferred 10% shares in Huo's name. That is why I am investigating this matter till today, and now I only have search for Spider, who definitely knows something such by which Huo can be destroyed. Because when my dad's death happened, then Spider only was cleaning the mirror from outside. So Suzie tells Lizzie, I will help you in finding Spider. But Lizzie was worrying for Suzie. That is why Suzie hugs Lizzie and says, we both have the same enemy against whom we will fight together. In the next scene during the meeting, everyone praises Lizzie, because due to him, Ocean could be completed. And just then, Huo says in front of everyone, I am resigning from the post of chairman and making Lizzie chairman in my place. Hearing this, everyone was shocked, but they were quite impressed by Lizzie's work. That is why no one had any objection to this. After this, Shuchu calls Suyi and tells her, I also like Lizzie, and now I will compete with you for him. An employee also hears this talk, and just then, Lizzie also takes Suzie with him for lunch. In the next scene, Shuchu meets Lizzie alone, where Lizzie's behavior was seeming strange to Shuchu, and Shuchu also confesses, I love you. So Lizzie tells her, whatever feelings are in your mind taking me, I had understood them earlier only, and love is not in our control. Up to here, I myself didn't trust love at first sight. But when I met Suzie, I fell in love with her at the very first sight. And the way I found my love like that, you will also find your love. Hearing this, Shuchu says, I will still keep liking you. We will always remain friends. And then Lisa goes to Oscar. So Oscar tells him, Spider is hiding in this city from his debtor. And then he gives Spider's number to Lisa. So Lizzie calls that number and tells Spider, I want 50,000 yuan from you. For which Lisa agrees and says, in exchange, I will ask you some questions. So Spider-Man agrees. Sending location to Lisa asks him, come alone. So Lizzie reaches that location with Oscar, where Oscar was getting afraid that Lizzie going alone inside won't be right. Lizzie didn't have another option, that is why he calls Spider. So Spider asks him, come inside. When Lizzie goes inside, Oscar starts worrying about him from behind. That is why he also goes behind him, where he sees that Spider was about to hit Lizzie from behind. Before Oscar could do anything, Spider had already attacked Lizzie. On the other side, we find out from Yifei and Huo's talks that Lizzie's condition they only got it done. And Oscar and Lizzie, whom they were thinking as Spider so far, he was Huo's man only. And Huo had done so only because so that Lizzie just stays on the bed and he doesn't have to move from the post of chairman. And on the other side, when Suzie finds out about Lizzie's condition, she quickly goes to his house. And Huo also goes there and tells Song, why did you bring him here instead of taking him to the hospital? So Song says, it's possible that some people with the intention of harming Lizzie reach there. So Huo, winning Lizzie's care, goes into his room where the doctor was treating him. And on Huo's asking, doctors tell that Lizzie is in coma right now, that is why we will keep him in observation right now. And then Huo asks Suzie, if Lizzie's face gets ruined, then what will you do? So Suzie says, I will still support him. Hearing this, Huo leaves. So Suzie, seeing Lisa, starts crying and says, "We will always take care of each other and defeat Huo together." Just then, Shuchu comes there who wanted to talk to Suzie, but Song and Oscar also come there. So Song tells Lisa, "Huo has gone, but Yifei is keeping an eye on us." Just then, Lisa gets up. Seeing him safe, Suzie and Shuchu relax. Now we see a scene from the past. When Lizzie was talking to Spider, then he asks him, "How is your son?" So he says, "Yes, he is fine." But he didn't know this, that Spider has no son at all, because of which Lizzie gets alert beforehand. And phoning Song takes knowledge about Spider. And Song tells him, Spider is an invader in another place, and his health condition is also not fine. After listening to all this, Lizzie calls Song with him, so that he can catch the fake Spider and know the truth. After this, we see that as Spider attacks Lizzie before that Song attacks him, then these three tie him right there. Just then, that man gets a message from a number. "Is the work done? Did you dispose of him?" Seeing which, Lizzie understands that Huo's hand is behind this. That is why Lizzie replies badly to Huo from the man's phone. Now we are in the present scene where Lisa was about to hang Oscar with a rope in his place, in which he asks Shuchu, "Help me." And Lizzie comes out to Suzie because she was quite angry with him, because Lizzie had not told her about his plan. And seeing all this, she had got quite scared. But Lizzie convinces her and tells her, "I have found out about Spider. That is why I will go to him." So Suzie says, "I will also come with you." For which Lizzie agrees. But Sushi had this tension that how will they go out now? Because Yifei was standing outside. So Lizzie says, "We will become Oscar and Shuchu and get out from here." And then, becoming Oscar and Shuchu, they become successful in getting out from there. In the next scene, Suzie and Lisa go to a village, where seeing Suzie doing live marketing of someone's honey, thinks, "From this we should ask about Liu Awei, Spider." And just then she sees that a car is about to hit a small girl. So Suzie saves that girl, and hearing the sound of the horn asks her, "Move." But that girl smiles and leaves. And that man records their video and praises them, "You are great." And then that man starts selling honey to them. So Sushi agrees to take 2 bottles. But that man asks, "Take 6 bottles so that your marriage life becomes good." Hearing this, Lizzie takes 6 bottles of honey from him and asks him, "Do you know Liu Awei?" So that man tells them Liu Awei's location is. When Susie and Lisa reach there, a lady tells he died 2 months ago due to alcohol, and I am Liu Awei's wife. And she was feeling that both of them have come here to take loan money. And when Susie and Lisa don't get any information, they start leaving. And just then, Liu Awei's daughter Xiao Xiao comes there, who was the same girl whom Susie had saved. And at that time, Xiao Xiao was not wearing her hearing device. Due to this, she couldn't hear the sound of the horn. And when her mom finds out that these two saved Xiao Xiao, she invites both of them, "Come inside." When Lizzie and Su Xie go inside, Xiao Xiao was listening to a song. And seeing Su Xie, she turns off the song and says to Su Xie, "My mom doesn't like my listening to songs at all." So Lizzie asks Xiao Xiao about her dad. Why did he resign from his job 2 years ago? So Xiao Xiao says, "My mom said that dad had seen something such due to which he had to resign." And just then, Xiao Xiao's mom comes there and says, "We don't know anything more than this." And then she tells them, "Leave." So Suzie and Lisa leave from there. And they knew that Mrs. Liu definitely knows something. That is why we will definitely know about this from Xiao Xiao. And on the other side, the man who had attacked Lisa goes to Huo and tells him Lisa escaped that night. Hearing this, Huo is surprised and quickly goes to Lisa's house, where in Lisa's place Oscar was sitting tied up. But Huo recognizes Oscar and starts finding Lisa in the house. And he sees Lisa's secret room too. And when he goes inside, he is quite shocked, because the Lisa, whom he was considering weak, he had done full planning against Huo. Just then, Huo gets a message by the name of K Spade, who tells him Lisa has found out about Spider, and he sends him their location too. And the person messaging is no one else but Ming Hao. And right there, Song also tells Lisa, "Huo has seen your secret. That is why stay alert." Hearing this, Lisa gets into tension and goes to a hotel, where Suzie, instead of taking a big room, had taken a small room, because it was on the first floor only. And Suzie asks Lisa, "Rest in the room," and herself goes out to bring water. And phoning Song asks, "How should I take care of Lisa's leg?" Due to which, Suzie takes a little time. And in her worry, Lizzie also comes there. And hearing her saying, "Lisa's condition worsened due to my dad. That is why taking care of him is my responsibility." Hearing this, Lisa goes back inside. So Susie says to Song, "I love him very much. That is why I always want to see him healthy. But Lise starts drinking because he feels that Suzie is with him only due to this reason that in the cycle of saving her dad's life, he had this condition. And now he understands why wasn't Suzie letting him drive the car? And she took a small room for this reason because it was on the first floor, and the big room was on the top floor, due to which Lise would have a problem walking. And as Suzie comes back to the room, Lise rudely tells her, "I don't need you to give me company here, you should book a big room for yourself." Hearing this, Suzie doesn't feel good at all. That is why she says, "Why are you talking to me like this?" So Lisa clearly says, "Since you found out about my injury since then, you are taking care of my leg more than me, so that in this way you can reduce your guilt, and I don't need your empathy." And then Lisa asks Suzie, "Go out of my room," but Suzie refuses to go and lies down right there on the bed, seeing which Lisa himself goes out and comes back to take his luggage. So Suzie tells him, "You forgot to take me. By the way, I felt very guilty because of the incident that happened to you. But when I found out that the reason for this was my dad, then I couldn't stop myself from thinking this, that the one whom I love, he had held my dad's hand till the last time, from which my love for you increased even more, and now I always want to stay with you." And then Suzie starts crying. So hearing all this, Lise also realizes his mistake and hugging her apologizes. The next day, Suzie and Lise go to Mrs. Liu again and tell her, "We are going, that is why we have come to meet Xiao Xiao." But Mrs. Liu was understanding their intention. And Lise also asks her, "Did you see Liu Wei doing this 2 years ago?" So she says, "I don't know anything about this." So Lise says, "Xiao Xiao such costly treatment and money to take a house, where did it come to you people from?" So Mrs. Liu says, "Liu Wei never told me this thing." So Lise says, "Liu Wei knows a secret related to my dad. That is why it is necessary for me to know every secret." But Mrs. Liu didn't tell anything. So Suzie and Lise leave from there. Just then on the way, they meet Xiao Xiao. So Suzie talks to her and finds out that Xiao Xiao has a hobby of singing. But when she stopped hearing then, she could never sing with a tune, due to which everyone used to make fun of her, which her mom didn't like. Due to this reason, she forbade Xiao Xiao, "Don't sing." Hearing this, Suzie sings a song to her and says, "I also sing without tone." And then Xiao Xiao takes Suzie and Lisa with her to roam the village, where the three enjoy a lot. But when Xiao Xiao goes to take a water bottle, she bumps into Huo, but Huo cannot recognize her and starts looking for Lise. And here, when Xiao Xiao's mom comes back home, she finds Xiao Xiao's note on the table, in which it was written, "I'm going to sing a song on the riverside tonight." Reading this, she gets surprised. And right there, on the other side, Xiao Xiao starts her song meeting with Lise and Suzie. And hearing her song, everyone comes there in her support. And when Xiao Xiao's mom reaches there, she gets quite emotional hearing Xiao Xiao's song. And as Xiao Xiao finishes the song and looks at mom, she gets scared. That mom will scold me. But instead of scolding, she praises her. Seeing this, Xiao Xiao hugs her mom. And Huo's man was also watching all this, and he tells Huo everything. And there Xiao Xiao's mom says, "Thank you to Suzie and Lise for doing all this," and tells them Liu Wei had given me a USB before dying, and said that, if needed, I can use it. But I don't know how to operate a computer, that is why I haven't been able to check it till now. So Suzie asks them, "Give me that USB." So she asks them, "Come home tomorrow," and leaves herself. Hearing this, Suzie and Lise become very happy and start walking together. And Lise talks to her, "I have gone on the mountain with many girls before." Hearing this, Suzie gets jealous and asks him, "Tell the truth." So Lise kisses Suzie, whom Minghao sees like this. After this, when Lise is in the hotel, he sees Huo there, who had come to book a room in this same hotel, but no one was at the reception. And just then, Huo's man comes and tells him, "Spider has died. Only his wife and daughter are here." And hearing about Liu Wei's death, Huo becomes very happy and leaves from there. Next morning, Lise and Suzie go to Mrs. Liu's house. So Suzie asks her about Xiao Xiao. Mrs. Liu tells, "Some time ago, Lise's uncle came here and she is playing with him." Hearing this, they understand that Huo has come here. And just then, Huo also comes there and behaves nicely with Mrs. Liu. Mrs. Liu doesn't suspect at all that this is a bad person, and he goes inside to take some food items. So Suzie says something in Xiao Xiao's ear. So Xiao Xiao goes inside near her mom and refuses. "I won't give the USB right now." Suzie said this to me, but Mrs. Liu says, "I had promised to give them the USB just now. That is why I won't back off." Saying this, she takes the USB and goes out, which Huo's man snatches and runs away. Seeing this, everyone is shocked. And when Suzie starts going after him, Lizzie stops her. And Mrs. Liu starts praising the soup made by him. And right there, that man was going with the USB, then Song catches him. Because Lizzie had told Song everything. And Xiao Xiao was also helping him along with Song. When that man was attacking them, then Ming Hao comes and saves them. But in the meantime, that man throws the USB into the burning fire and runs away. When Huo finds out about this, he is very happy and goes back to Yi Fei. So Yi Fei asks him, "Marry me," because now no proof is left against him. So Huo says, "If I married you, then you will become my weakness, taking advantage of which people can go against me." Hearing this, Yi Fei gets upset. And here we find out that Yi Fei had already aborted a child once. And then Huo promises Yi Fei, "We will get married soon." Now on the other side, Suzie makes soup for Ming Hao. Just then Lisa comes there and asks Ming Hao, "What are you doing here?" So Ming Hao says, "I had seen Sushi saving a child in an online video. That is why I came here." But Ming Hao had understood that Lizzie has doubt on me, that I only told Huo the location. That is why he starts resting. So Li Zhe leaves from there. Now we see a scene from the past. The day Li Zhe's dad died that day, Ming Hao talks to the doctor and then sees a window cleaner there who was very worried. And he was no one else but Liu Awei. And here we find out that the problem in Liu Awei's daughter's ear happened due to the doctor mentioning wrong medicine, and Ming Hao only was fighting his case. And when Ming Hao asks him, "What is the reason for your worry?" Liu Awei shows him a video in which Huo had removed the oxygen mask from Lisa's dad with his own hands. Seeing this video, Ming Hao is surprised, and he takes that video from Liu Awei and says, "By going to the police, you will get trapped even more." Hearing this, Liu Awei gets quite scared, and Ming Hao asks him, "Give me money in exchange for this, so that he can get his daughter's treatment done." So Ming Hao gives him his card and tells him, "Leave this city," and takes his phone too, so that no copy is left with him. Now in the present scene, Suzie is quite worried due to not finding proof against Huo. So Lizzie boosts her courage, and just then, Xiao Xiao comes there and gives them that USB, which they were searching for. Seeing this, both are quite shocked. So Xiao Xiao tells, "When you both came to my house for the first time, I wanted to give you this USB at that very time. But at that time, my mom came inside. And when my mom changed her mind, then I thought that I should keep it there before my mom. And then Suzie forbade me to bring that USB in my ear. That is why I changed the USB." Hearing this, Lizzie and Suyi become very happy. In the next scene, Huo is with the shareholders in a badminton court. Just then, Lizzie, Shuchu, and Suyi come there. And Lizzie starts telling about Huo's black deeds and says, "How you did a booking scam together with Lin Tai and using your power wrongly kept the money in Ocean's name with yourself, and giving orders to Chen Wei Ran sold fake wine. To the extent that the money my dad gave for art supply, you kept 80% of that money with yourself." Hearing this, Huo asks him to shut up and says, "I have already dealt with Lin Tai and Chen Wei Ran's matter." Saying this, he starts leaving. So Lizzie stops him and says, "You may save yourself from all accusations, but how will you prove yourself innocent from the accusation of killing my dad?" Hearing this, the rest of the shareholders are quite surprised. So Lizzie plays that video on the laptop in which Huo had removed the oxygen mask of Lizzie's dad. Just then, they hear the sound of police sirens, which Lizzie had already called. And Huo also understood that now no way is left for him. That is why he starts requesting Yi Fei, "Take the blame of all frauds on your head, and tell the police that I only forced Ho to kill Lisa's dad." Hearing this, Yi Fei feels bad that he is only using her. That is why she slaps Ho. And just then, the police also arrive there. After this, Sushi and Lizzie are at their home. So Sushi cannot believe that all this ended so quickly. So to make her feel reality, Lizzie kisses her and asks her, "Close your eyes." When Sushi closes her eyes, Lizzie shows her that bottle which they had kept in the empty part of the tree. Seeing this, Susie becomes happy. Now we see a scene from the past where we find out that when Huo was arrested, then while going, he tells Suji it was K-Spade, whose hand was behind ruining Ziwi cooperation, and this cooperation was of Susie's dad, and Huo also didn't know K-Spade's real face. That is why he doesn't tell Susie anything else. Now in the present scene, thinking this, Susie gets worried. So Lisa asks her, "Relax." In the next scene, Susie and Lizzie were sitting outside. So Lizzie tells Susie, "You should pack your bags and come to live with me." But according to Susie, despite being a girlfriend or boyfriend, something was missing. So when Lizzie asks, "What about this?" Susie asks him, "Wait for a few days," and leaves from there. Due to which, Lizzie gets confused and goes to Oscar. So Oscar tells him, "In a love relationship, confession is very necessary, and girls keep their feelings pressed in their heart. That is why you will have to bring it out." So Lise says, "What should I do?" So Oscar asks him, "Bring Suzie with you tomorrow so that he can arrange his marriage purposeful moment nicely." Hearing this, Lise becomes happy and asks Oscar, "Stop the wheelchair drama." So Oscar asks him, "Keep this matter secret." Now, the next day, Oscar arranges everything nicely for Lizzie and Sushi, but just then, Shu arrives there. So seeing her, Oscar starts acting like this, as if he was trying to walk. So Shu quickly handles him and then serves him soup. But just then, Oscar remembers that Lise is coming here with Suzie. That is why he tries to take Shu aside. "Come here." But in the meantime, the flower vase kept there was about to fall. To save it, Oscar moves forward and sits on his knees in front of Shu. And just then, Lise and Suzie also arrive there. Lise is surprised seeing this. What is going on? Because Lise's love confess plan had now become Oscar's. And finding no other way, Lise takes Suzie to a restaurant, where Suzie was feeling that Lise brought her here to show Oscar's love confession. Lise doesn't remove this misunderstanding. Just then, Song sends the method of love confession to Lise. So Lise secretly starts reading them. And right there on the other side, Shu was thinking that Oscar did all this planning for her. That is why Shu says, "I am not ready for a relationship right now. I need a little time." So Oscar tells her this love confession was for Lise. Hearing this, Shu feels quite bad that she ruined Lise's planning. That is why she gets upset and leaves. And right there, Lise reads tips and orders extra foam coffee for Suzie, so that when Suzie drinks it, the foam will stick to her lips. So Lisa, to clean it, will kiss her. But seeing more foam, Suzie removes that foam with a spoon. So Lise reads the second tip, in which the man should give a violet to his girl so that he can make her feel that girls are in control on his money. But before this, Lise does this. Just then, a person sitting nearby gives a violet to his girlfriend, due to which that girl gets angry and leaves. Seeing this, Lise goes to the side and starts reading the remaining tips. But just then, Suzie comes and takes the mobile from his hand and says, "I know you're trying your best to confess your love," because she had seen the 752 number in the bar, which meant it has been so many days since they met on the mountaintop. And then Suzie says, "You have already given me so many confessions, like every time saving me and taking care of me. Whatever you did for me is no less than any love confession. That is why today I will confess my love to you." Saying this, she kisses Lisa. After this, Suzie packs her luggage and goes to Lisa's house, where Lisa starts having pain in his leg. So Suzie asks him, "Use a wheelchair," because the doctor had said, if Lise puts a burden on his leg, then his other leg will also get damaged. So Suzie asks Lise to use a wheelchair. So Lise refuses and says, "You get your tooth removed," because she also had a lot of pain in her tooth. So Suzie says, "Okay, I will get my tooth removed, but in return you will have to use a wheelchair." Hearing this, Lise agrees. Now the next day on Suzie's saying she comes out after getting her tooth removed. So Lise is not standing there. Just then she gets Lisa's phone call. When Suzie goes out, Lise is sitting on the wheelchair. Seeing this, Suzie is happy, and both go to a river, where Suzie makes a wish and throws her tooth in the river. When Lisa asks her about the wish, Suzie asks him, "Wait." On the other side, we see Ming Hao. When he opens his cupboard, there were many toys there. Now we see a scene from the past. When Sushi was sleeping, then Ming Hao starts kissing her. But just then, Susie's dad arrives, who seeing this gets very angry at Ming Hao because his daughter Shen Ming Hao liked him. That is why he didn't want that Ming Hao does anything such, due to which both his daughter's lives get ruined. And then warning Ming Hao Suze's dad tears that soft toy, which Ming Hao had brought for Suzie. So Ming Hao holds that toy and starts crying a lot. Now in the present scene, that toy was still in Ming Hao's hand, and he tears it with his own hands again. Now again we see a scene from the past, when Mr. Shenji Hong asks Huo, "Give me time to pay liquid damages." But a man named K Spade was blackmailing Huo at that time. That is why even wanting to Huo couldn't help Mr. Shenji Hong. Ming Hao was secretly watching both of them. And at that time, Mr. Shenji Hong had lost everything. That is why, apart from committing suicide, he had no other way. And Ming Hao had blackmailed Huo only for Mr. Shenji Hong so that he could get close to Suzie. Now in the present scene, Ming Hao comes to meet Mr. Dai, who is the boss of Ocean Hotel Zhengde. And the way he was treating his assistant, seeing that, it seemed that he is not a good man. So Ming Hao tells him, "Ocean Hotel is far ahead of Zhengde Hotel, and about this I can help you." So Mr. Dai says, Ocean Hotel's chairman Huo is in jail now, due to which people have lost trust in them. And now they don't have that much money left. That is why, now, putting all money on this resort project, they are taking a quite big risk, whose report Ming Hao had brought with him. And Ming Hao says yes. After this, Lise goes home. So Suzie was getting dental procedure done there. So Lisa asks, what is the reason for this? So Suzie tells, with this, you can move around there without the support of the artificial leg. And to show all this, she uses the wheelchair too. Seeing Suzie care so much for him, Lisa gets emotional and hugging her says, you are very important to me. And then Suzie feels that he's about to kiss her. That is why Suzie doesn't close her eyes. But Lisa doesn't do so and says, this will cause pain in your tooth. So Suzie says, no, nothing like that will happen. Saying this, she herself kisses Lisa, due to which pain starts in her mouth. So she goes to another room to do drilling. In the next scene, Lisa goes to meet Shen with Suzie, who at that time was drawing a sketch of her wedding dress. Because when her wedding was about to happen, then all these incidents happened with them. And then Suzie goes inside, extend the date for Shen staying in the hospital. So Lisa tries to talk to Shen, but Shen doesn't answer any of his questions and keeps making the sketch. So Lisa puts his card in her pocket, and right there inside Ming Hao meets Suzie. He had also come here to extend the date for Shen staying. And outside, Lizzie tells Shen, if you were completely fine, then Ziwi. I could have found out about Cooperation's bankruptcy, who was behind it. Now, hearing Ziwi's name, Shen gets quite scared. Handling whom Lizzie asks, what about K-Spade? But Shen's condition starts worsening even more. And just then, Ming Hao comes there and handles Shen and asks both of them, leave? Because as long as they are here, it will be difficult to calm Shen down. That is why Sushi and Lisa leave from there. But Lisa had understood that Shen definitely knows something or the other about all of them. And here Ming Hao tells Shen, you asked to keep this secret between us. Hearing this, Shen starts shouting. So Ming Hao holds her tightly and says, I will have to take you somewhere else from here. Now here we find out that Ming Hao only had scared Shen into silence. And then Ming Hao takes Shen to his house where she was very scared. After this, Song tells Lisa the name of that food supplier company's owner, which is Tang Zheng. And this was the same company whom Ziwi had made their food supplier. Since then, their performance started going down completely. And Tang Zheng was completely new in this field, who went to another country after the company became bankrupt. But the person working with him, Song, had brought his photo with him. In the next scene, Mr. Dai makes Ming Hao meet Jiang. And he was the one who argued with the waiter in the restaurant, and Suzie had handled everything. And Jiang is a chief editor, and at Mr. Dai's request, he had gone to take pictures in Ocean Hotel. After this, Suzie was taking a soup recipe book from a bookstore. Just then, Jiang comes there, and seeing Suzie taking the recipe book, starts talking to her and gives her some tips, noting which Suzie says thank you to him. But when both were exchanging each other's content, then someone clicks their photo. And then after Suzie comes home, she starts making that soup with Lisa, which he starts reading the note written by her, and then says to Suzie, if someone close to you has done something due to which you were hurt, then what will you do to him? Hearing this, Suzie feels that he has done something. That is why she starts listening to Lisa's heartbeat. So Lizzie says, I haven't done anything like that. So Suzie asks him, do you want a boy or a girl? So Lizzie says, I want both. And just then his heartbeat becomes quite fast, from which Suzie understands that he is lying, and asks him, what is the truth? So Lizzie says, I want more kids than 2. Hearing this, Suzie starts blushing. After this, when Ming Hao goes to his home, then Song was keeping an eye on him right there on Lizzie's saying. And right there when Shen's eye opens at home, then she doesn't see Ming Hao anywhere. That is why looking for Ming Hao, she goes to his room, and seeing many dolls there becomes happy. And as she is about to pick up a doll just then, Ming Hao comes there, and shouting at Shen pushes her on the bed, due to which Shen gets quite scared, and taking her doll starts going out of the room. But Ming Hao catches her and says, this doll is not yours but Suzie's, which thinking it was for you, you took from me. Saying this, he snatches the doll from her and throws her out of his room. Hearing these things, Shen remembers that day when Ming Hao had won this doll from a game machine, and remembering other things too now in the morning, she behaves with Ming Hao as if nothing happened at night. And outside, Song tells Lizzie on the phone, maybe Ming Hao has kept Shen in his new apartment. So Lizzie says, we will have to get Shen out of there somehow. Just then, Shuchu comes there. So Lizzie tells her, Suzie talks to the supplier. Hearing this, Shuchu pretends to be happy, because on Ming Hao's saying she was considering Sushi her enemy. And when Shuchu starts leaving, so Lizzie tells her about a contract, for which he asks, bring Ming Hao along with you. And Lizzie does so that he can keep Ming Hao away from the apartment and get Shen out of there. So Shuchu also calls Ming Hao to her company. So Ming Hao feeds Shen, gets ready, and starts leaving from there. Just then, Shen hugs him and asks, do you really only love me? At this, Ming Hao locks the door and leaves from there. But outside, Song starts following him at Lizzie's request. so that he can see that he doesn't come back to the apartment quickly. But Ming Hao also gets suspicious that someone is following him. That is why, getting an opportunity, he escapes from the car following him. And right there on the other side, Shen gets ready very nicely, seeing whom it seemed that now she has become fine. And after getting ready, as she starts going out, the door is locked. Seeing this, Shen sets fire to a book kept there near the fire alarm, due to which alarms start ringing there. Hearing this, the safety team people reach there, and with the help of the special key open the door there. So taking advantage of this, Shen leaves from there. But her doll remains right there, and the safety team also sees Shen going. That is why they phone Ming Hao and explain the whole situation. After the fire alarm rang, when we came inside the house, there was a girl there who ran away. Hearing this, Ming Hao turns his car back from there and starts looking for Shen in the market near him. And right there in a shop nearby, Shen stands, who sees Ming Hao, who was looking for her. But instead of going near Shen, she takes out Lize's card from her pocket. And right there, Lize gets a call from an unknown number. When Lize picks it up, Shen was talking. So Lize himself comes to meet her, seeing whom in normal condition Lize is quite surprised, and then is happy too that she has recovered. That is why he was about to call Suzie to tell her, but Shen stops him and says, "I troubled Sushi a lot, that is why now I cannot meet eyes with her." So Lize asks Shen, who is K-Spade, because he knew that Ming Hao is K-Spade. So Shen says, "I am that person, and whatever happened with Z, we partnership at that time, my hand is behind all that too." Hearing this, Lize asks her, what is the reason for doing all this? So Shen says, "Since childhood, Suzie got more love because I was adopted. No matter how much effort I put in, but dad never put Z We Company in my name. That is why through Huo I got Z We ruined." But Lize knew that Shen loves Ming Hao very much. That is why she, taking K-Spade name on herself, is saving Ming Hao. But Shen starts regretting. That is why she says, "When dad found out all my things, then he didn't say anything to me, rather, he gave his life to protect me, so that everyone feels that his hand was behind all this. And being worried about all this, dad took this wrong step. I am in this guilt even today that I always misunderstood my dad. And he also loved me always, like Suzie." Telling all this, Shen starts crying. So Lize asks her, is Ming Hao also involved in all this? So Shen says, he just follows my order. And here we find out that the secret Shen used to talk about to Ming Hao was this only that in ruining Ze, we cooperation her hand was there. And this was the reason that Shen always obeyed him. So Lize says, if you didn't do anything now, then the matter will go out of hand. So Shen says, now everything depends on Ming Hao, whether he wants to spend his future in jail or outside. And then Shen asks, give me a little time for all this. In the next scene, Suzie gets Ming Hao's call. So he tells Suzie, Shen has suddenly disappeared. Hearing this, Suzie gets scared and quickly goes to the apartment. So Ming Hao tells, I had brought Shen here to give her a peaceful environment, but finding an opportunity, she left. When Suzie reads that note in it, Shen had written, I don't want to live now. That is why don't try to find me. Seeing this, Suzie gets quite scared and starts looking for her everywhere. And when searching for her, they reach the riverside, then Suzie's gaze falls on Shen's doll. Seeing this, Suzie starts crying. And when Suzie goes home, Lize is quite worried about her, because due to Shen disappearing, she had stopped eating and drinking. So Lize, to give her courage, says, police will find her somehow, and Shen will also want that you stay happy. But Suzie was sad about this thing that he didn't give time to Shen properly. So Lize also doesn't tell her anything about Shen, because Shen only had stopped him. That is why after Suzie sleeps, Lize meets Song and says, when I met Shen, she didn't have any doll. So then, from where did the doll come in the river? Now on the other side, we look at Ming Hao. Now we see a scene from the past, where Ming Hao had seen Shen meeting Lize. That is why in the present scene, Ming Hao tells the doll, from now on you will stay there where you should have been for so long. And similarly, some days pass. But Suzie was still quite worried for Shen. Just then she gets Ming Hao's call and calling Shen. Suzie, he calls her, by which Suzie feels that Ming Hao is drunk. And just then, Ming Hao throws a glass forcefully and then cuts the phone, due to which Suzie gets worried and calls him again. But Ming Hao doesn't pick up the phone, and he was intentionally acting to be drunk so that Suzie feels that he is worried about Shen. And right there, Suzie quickly comes to Ming Hao. So Ming Hao pretends like he is unable to live without Shen. And then Ming Hao hugs Suzie and takes a promise from her, never leave me. So Suzie promises him, I will never leave you. So Ming Hao gives Suzie that stuff of Shen and tells her, before disappearing, Shen met Lize. Hearing this, Suzie is shocked. So Ming Hao shows her CCTV footage. And right there on the other side, as Lize comes home just then, Suzie also comes home taking Shen's stuff and asks Lize, what about this? So Lizzie refuses. No. So Suzie shows him CCTV footage, from which Lisa's lie is caught. But he still doesn't tell the truth to Suzie, because Shen had forbidden him. So Suzie, getting angry, starts leaving from there and says, "When you feel like telling the truth, then come." Saying this, she leaves. Then Lisa gets quite worried for her. After this, Minghao, taking some clothes of Shen, goes to a room, where we find out that Shen is still alive, and Minghao has kept her hidden from everyone. Now we see a scene from the past, when Shen met Lisa in the cafe, then making an excuse, she leaves from there. And she thinks, I and Minghao did wrong. That is why she was going to tell the police everything truthfully. But just then, Minghao comes there, and threatening her takes her back to his house. Now, in the present scene, Minghao asks her, "Why did you run away from here to the police station?" So Shen says, "Dad committed suicide because of me, the guilt of which I have even today. That is why I went to tell about my done deeds. By the way, I love you very much, and can't even think of trapping you." So Minghao says, "The suicide note you wrote 2 years ago that came of use to me today, because now everyone feels that you have died." Hearing this, Shen says, "Why don't you just kill me? At least I will be free from this torture." So Minghao first asks, "What is the account and password?" So Shen says, "I don't remember that right now." So Minghao, while going, warns her, "If you try to run then with your dad, the same will happen to him what happened to your dad." Saying this, he leaves. After this, when Suzie, being worried, was talking to Shen's doll, just then, she notices a paper in the doll. When she takes that paper out, in it was a note written by Shen, in which she had written Minghao's truth. "He doesn't love me, but Suzie. Minghao only made me a medium to ruin Ziwi. That is why you should stay away from him and stay with him whom you love. And in Ziwi's bankruptcy, my hand was there too. But when I found out my mistake, by then it was too late." Reading all this, Suzie starts crying, and then goes to Minghao and asks Minghao, "What about this?" So Minghao refuses. No, but Suzie was not going to fall for his words this time. That is why she says, "Stop your drama. I have found out you were with Shen all this time only so that you can stay close to me. Until now you were using us." Hearing this, Minghao says, "My near me, there was no other way." So Suzie starts going to tell the police. So Minghao says, "If you did so, then you will never be able to see your sister." Hearing this, Suzie grabs Minghao's collar and asks, "Where is my sister?" So Minghao says, "If you want to meet her, then break up with Lizzie and always stay with me." But Suzie asks, "Give me proof of my sister being alive." So Minghao asks her, "Give me some time." In the next scene, Suzie goes to an amusement park with Minghao and enjoys a lot. But just then, pain starts in Lisa's leg. Seeing this, Suzie gets worried. But Lisa goes to get water for her on a mini bike, seeing which Suzie feels quite good. And then Suzie talks to Lisa about that movie, in which the couple has to separate from each other. And before coming here, Minghao had shown Suzie proof of Shen being alive. That is why unwillingly, Suzie tells Lizzie, "Break up with me." And for this reason, she had come to Rome with him today. Hearing this, Lizzie feels that Suzie is doing this because I hid Shen's matter. That is why he tells Shen's matter. But Suzie still doesn't change her decision and says, "Seeing you, I will always remember how my dad and my sister left me." Saying this, Suzie leaves from there, and coming to Minghao tells him, "I have broken up with Lizzie, now make me meet Shen." So Minghao says, "When the time comes, I will make you meet Shen myself, and from now on, you will stay with me only." Hearing this, Suzie gets very angry, but she couldn't do anything. In the next scene, Suzie finds out that Shen is in a room on the floor below. That is why she takes Minghao, "Have dinner with me," so that Lizzie can know which room Shen is in. And here, Lizzie and Song go to the floor below and start shouting, "Shen! Shen!" in every room. But just then, the manager there tells Minghao on the call, "Lisa and Song are here," because Minghao only had asked him, "Keep an eye on Lizzie and Song." Hearing this, Minghao forcibly brings Suzie back to the apartment, and leaving Suzie in that room goes to Shen's room. But by then, Lisa had taken Shen away. Seeing this, Minghao gets angry and quickly comes back to his apartment. By then, Suzie had also gone from there. So Minghao gets very angry, and here Suzie running hugs Lisa, because now they both had become one again. And when Suzie comes back home with Lizzie, Shen was sleeping. Seeing this, Suzie gets quite emotional. The next morning, Shen's health is quite fine, and she is having breakfast with Lisa and Suzie. So Lisa and Suzie take good care of Shen, due to which she gets quite emotional and says to Suzie, "I always started feeling insecure from your arrival, due to which fear I made a plan to finish Ziwi cooperation, and for which I had to pay the price by giving Dad's life. I never thought this." Now we see a scene from the past, where Shen was quite scared because her dad was about to see the accounts. And if that happened, then Shen would be exposed. That is why for help she comes to Ming Hao. But Ming Hao didn't care about this at all, because he always wanted that Shen's dad shouldn't come between Suzie and him. But Shen realizes her mistake. That is why she says, "I will return all the money of my fund." Hearing this, Ming Hao gets into tension and shows Shen her medical reports in which it was written that Shen is pregnant. Hearing this, Ming Hao becomes happy. So Ming Hao says, "If you return the money, then you will go to jail. And when the child comes into the world, then he won't get mom's love." Hearing this, Shen agrees. And coming to her, dad tells, "I only tampered with the money," and tells a lie that I cheated all the money and it went into all loss. Hearing this, dad gets angry at her and asks, "Did Ming Hao make you do all this?" So Shen refuses and says, "You always looked at me like an orphan. You always loved Suzie, not me." Hearing that, dad slaps her and tells, "Now due to this mistake, we is bankrupt going to happen." Hearing this, Suzie doesn't believe and tells her dad, "I am pregnant. Please don't do anything to Ming Hao." Hearing this, Shen's dad gets more worried. Now in the present scene, Shen says, "Dad took all the blame on himself to save me. Please, Suzie, forgive me. I was always jealous of you because you are Dad's biological daughter, and I was scared that he might not transfer we cooperation in your name." Hearing all this, Suzie starts crying and says to Shen, "Because of you, Dad went away from us. I always loved you like my sister, but you deceived me." So Lisa comes and handles Suzie. After this, Suzie and Lisa go to get some items, where Suzie's gaze falls on those cakes which Shen liked very much. Seeing this, Lizzie takes those cakes and tells Suzie Shen has realized her mistake. She has apologized to you too. That is why now you also forgive her. Now, as Lizzie and Suzie go home with the cake, Shen, seeing them, starts crying and says, "Dad always gave love to both of us alike, but I could never see his love." So Suzie forgives Shen, and Shen says, "You only are my only family." Hearing this, Shen is happy and hugs Suzie. Seeing them both together, Lisa is also happy. In the next scene, Ming Hao is at a press conference. Just then, Shen comes there. So Ming Hao treats her in front of everyone as if he searched for Shen a lot, but Shen asks Ming Hao to stop his drama and tells everyone the truth in front of the media, how Ming Hao trapping me, blackmailed me for doing fraud in Wee's funds. When my dad found out about this matter, so he took all the blame on his head and committed suicide, and Ming Hao kept me locked in his house. Hearing all this, Ming Hao says, "Shen is a mentally patient. Don't believe her words." So Shen shows her medical report, in which it was clearly written that Shen is completely fine. And then Suzie also tells Ming Hao only is K-Spade. Hearing this, Ming Hao had no other way near him. That is why he catches Suzie and threatens, "If anyone came forward, I will kill Suzie." Saying this, he takes Suzie to the terrace. Lisa also goes behind him. But Ming Hao had only one regret, that he could never make that person his whom he liked. So Lisa says, "How can you harm that person whom you like?" Just then, Suzie bites Ming Hao's hand forcefully and goes to Lisa, due to which now Ming Hao had no way nearby. That is why he jumps from the building. But from below, the safety team was already ready, who saves him through the safety balloon. And just then, police arrest him and take him. And on the other side, police arrest Mr. Dai too, because he was with him in all these works. Now we see the scene after 1 month, where all of Lizzie's company projects were successful. And for this, he thanks Shi-Chu, "Thank you." And Lizzie's leg surgery was also done. Just then, Suzie takes Lizzie for a regular checkup. In the next scene, Lizzie calls Suzie, "Come to a place." When Suzie goes there, Lizzie gets late in coming, due to which Suzie gets worried. Just then, Suzie gets Lizzie's message, in which it was written, "At this very place you broke up with me, didn't you? If you didn't find me quickly, then I will go far away from you." Seeing this, Suzie looks here and there. So there were boards for hints, and all these boards start reminding the moments spent with Lizzie to Suzie. Seeing all this, Suzie feels quite good, and following those boards, she comes to the middle of a market. Just then, all lights turn on there. Seeing this, Suzie is quite impressed. Just then, Lisa comes there, and sitting on knees, showing the ring to Suzie, proposes to her, "Will you marry me?" So Suzie also happily agrees, yes, and extends her hand. So Lizzie makes her wear the ring. Seeing this, everyone is quite happy for them. After coming home, these two watch the sunset together in the morning. Now we see the scene after some days, where Lizzie was waiting for Suzie outside the marriage registry. Just then, he calls Suzie and reminds her, "Remember today's day." So Suzie, who is at work, quickly comes to Lizzie, but she forgets her wedding dress, because of which both go inside. So there the manager feels that these two have come for divorce. Hearing this, both quickly say, "We have come for marriage, not for divorce." And when going inside, Lizzie and Suzie are filling the form, so Suzie calls him husband. Hearing this, Lizzie is very happy and asks her, "Say husband again." So Suzie calls him husband again. Hearing this, Lizzie becomes even more happy, and now both of them get married, and they get the marriage certificate too. But Suzie was not happy with one thing because her marriage photo didn't come out good. That is why she asked Lizzie go to the bridal store so that she can get the photo clicked again, and then both happily leave from there. And right here, the happy ending of this drama